What's happening, people, and welcome back to another episode of Park Lane Podcast, episode number 76. And this podcast is brought to you and sponsored by our good friend at Manscaped. Now, listen up carefully, people, because for the last few weeks, you might have heard it all before, but something's about to change really quickly. So, as you all know, what Manscaped do, male grooming products, they're absolutely incredible. They sent me across an incredible gift set that, do you know what? I'm not just saying this, I have used so much and it is incredible. But moving on from that, we have changed the code on Manscaped's website. So the new code for 20% off plus free shipping is Park Lane 20. That's Park Lane 20. You get 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com. Go over and buy as much as you can because it will help us out in the long run. Thank you very much. Right, let's move on to this week's show. I'm a little bit chirpy for absolutely no reason because we got absolutely embarrassed by Fulham yesterday, 3-0 away. I don't know what else to say apart from that, but I will introduce to you the lovely people who are joined with me. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to like also. And if you are now following us on Twitch, make sure you hit the follow as well. There'll be lots more happening over on Twitch, including our FIFA streams that will be moving over to Twitch. We'll talk to you all about that a little bit later, but welcome to everybody who's come on from Twitch. But Winnie, how are you doing today?
Do you know what? I'm like you, surprisingly, just quite relaxed, quite jovial about everything. To be fair, I got my knees up. I'm just chilling. You know what I mean? Despite the horror show that was yesterday.
Yeah, look, I did tweet a minute ago saying, have we all calmed down yet? Because, I don't know, maybe it's just getting old, and all the rest of it. But I just think, do you know what? There's so much in life to, be worried about. I know so many other worries that, yes, we lost at the weekend. We battered Villa the week before. You will have ups, you will have downs. So what? Let's move on. Mr. Scarf, how are you? Do you feel the same way? Or are you still a little bit sad?
Well, of course, I'm sad. My first away day. It's not quite what I expected. And I was looking forward to rubbing into Barney and co after the game. So that didn't quite go to plan. And, all my banter and jokes pre-match all massively backfired. But no, overall, a fantastic day. Listen, bumps in a row. We all sat here as Spurs fans and said that when Ange Postecoglou came in, we talked about projects. He talked about winning some, getting battered. We all accepted that because we look at the long-term goal, where we want to be, what we want to be competing towards, how we want to play. So we have to accept this. However, I personally think it was a spineless, gutless, an inexcusable performance from Tottenham. There's no getting away from that. But it doesn't define our season or our manager or long-term goals. We go again, international break. We go again against Luton. It's time to put it right. I get where some people come from in terms of what goes wrong in 6 days, but generally there's a massive overreaction, as there always is. But nice to be back.
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't agree more with that. Right, we're going to jump to the chat. To shout out some of you because Jay was in the chat at 9:42 this morning, and he said, "Good evening. I would certainly agree. The worst performance of the season. We definitely missed Mickey. We can't blame it on Dragashin. It was all the midfield.
100%.
The only one I would say who cared about the game is Vicario. And like Harry said on the reaction of the game video, could have brought Højbjerg and Bendecourt on a bit earlier. They brought a bit of an impact. So, well to you, Harry. Martin H came in at 1 o'clock today for some reason and said, let me guess, it's not Andrew's fault. Give him time and on. FFS, he's a one-trick pony, and the sooner we realise it, the better. Coys. Oh. So, yeah, look, that's from a mad person at 1 o'clock in the afternoon that decided to message in. So, Martin, if you're here, I'd like to hear from you. Yeah, maybe, yeah. Barney came in at an actual time of 6:22, so still 40 minutes early, and said, evening to you all. Who else have we got? I'm scrolling through. There's so many comments in here. Barney and Joe, I'm not going to read out all your comments, unfortunately. But, of course, Big Johnny is here saying, hello, Jay. And then he says, hello, Barney, and so on and so forth, saying hello to everyone, apart from us. That's pretty much everyone in the chat. If you are new, and you're in the chat, let us know what you have for dinner, because that was what Winnie would love to know, wasn't it, Winnie?
Yeah. I mean, I had chicken en croûte with crispy potatoes and peas. There you go.
Well, someone's living the high life, aren't they? How the other half live?
Definitely not.
Mr. Scarf, what do you have for your dinner?
I had chicken breasts with Uncle Ben's golden vegetable rice and peas. So, probably,
Nice.
nothing special. But obviously, I was in a hotel last night, so help yourself breakfast in the morning. So I'm still a bit stuffed on that, to be honest. So it was but nice.
Not that. Jay said, if the FIFA streams are going on Twitch, could it be screen recorded and then posted on either TikTok or YouTube? Well, one thing I did this week, Jay, was I went and had a look to see if you needed a Twitch account. And even though you need one to follow us, you don't need a Twitch account to watch it. So you can just go on twitch.tv/Park Lane Podcast and just watch it while it's live. Because we were wanting to miss out. But, and he also said he had a roast dinner. So
Nice.
there we go. Right, let's move on. Harry, let's talk about the lineups before the game, because obviously you went to Craven Cottage yesterday. Pretty much a self-explanatory lineup with likes of Vicario, Porro, Romero, Dragoshin, Udogi, Basuma, Madison, Sarr, Johnson, Kulusevski, and Son. So it was only that one change of Dragoshin for Mickey van der Ven, which we expected to happen. Going into the game, seeing that lineup, you thought, this is a good side, we can beat Fulham?
I can understand why it was that side, because it's a team that done really well against Aston Villa. But I did say in my pre-match video that this is a game for me. I can see Fulham coming out and playing because they've got the quality and they've got the confidence in a manager, Marco Silva, to do so. So for me, I think a game like this suits Bentancur or even Højbjerg better. I said that I actually openly said in the match preview, I'll probably keep the team the same, but part of me wants to put Bentancur or Højbjerg in there. For me, obviously, we get onto it. It became visible within 9-10 minutes that Fulham didn't sit back. They came out and played. And we just, in times where we've said that, like against Wolves, where we've, played too slowly and been very composed. This game, we were the opposite. Everything was rushed. Everything was poor, lack of quality. So we just needed Bentancur for me, or even Højbjerg, to put his foot on the ball and calm that down. So for me, a change should have been made in the first half, if not half time. They've got that wrong. And Ange, obviously, the right substitution in the second half was too slow to react. So that team selection was wrong. It happens. We'll make mistakes. But my question is, and I love Ange Postecoglou, I think he's classy in so many different ways, but why go 3-0 down before there's any changes? The game's done. The game's absolutely done at that point. So I think he regrets that. I think he accepts that. That's what I like about him. But no, it wasn't the right team selection, but it's easy to say now.
Yeah, no, fair enough. As you say, it's easier to say, this is what you should have done when it goes badly, but we never say this is what you should have done when things go well. So,
of course.
Fair point. I do get your point. Winnie, do you expect anything different from that lineup? Or was that, what you'd expect to see from Spurs?
Yeah, I think I was quite confident that before, when we talked about it before, post Villa, that I would keep the same team. So I was fairly satisfied when it was exactly as it was when it got announced. Obviously, with the exception of Dragoshin coming in. I'm just a bit like, obviously we'll get onto the frustrations of the fan base and stuff later on in the episode, but it was just one of those games that just happens. Like, we have to expect it, and I know obviously H has touched upon this as well. We have to expect it when Postecoglou comes in, but like the one bugbear I've got is, straight away after the game, we had the usual people coming out going, Postecoglou out. This is what did we expect? Blah, 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 blah. All these stupid, absolutely ridiculous,
idiots,
absolutely ridiculous statements. But in the same breath, they're saying that he's not good enough for us. So why are they expecting a better performance? They're being hypocritical. They're saying our manager is not good enough, but in the same breath, expecting that manager to go and beat Fulham away. It doesn't make sense at all. But in terms of the lineup, it was exactly what I expected. But again, as H just alluded to, in hindsight, I would probably have swapped out Basuma for a Bentancur. And I think that's what I will do going forward. What I would do, next out against Luton.
Yeah, fair enough. before we move on to the next question, just want to shout out everybody that is watching over on Twitch. Though we've mentioned it a few times today, but make sure you do hit that follow button because every follow we get over there will really, really help us out. And if you're enjoying the show, hit a comment as well, because also I want to make sure that they actually turn up on my chat that I can see. Otherwise, it's a load of shit. But let's move on, H, and talk about kind of the opening 10 minutes, because a few times this season we've discussed that. And, there are games when we start fast. There are games when we start slow. There's a real inconsistency about how Spurs start games. And I felt like, were we too naive yesterday in terms of, how many times we've beaten Fulham at Craven Cottage, in terms of starting slowly? Because Fulham felt for the whole game, not necessarily the first 10 minutes, but for the whole game, they wanted it more.
They wanted it more. It's as simple as that. And ultimately, yes, they had more quality on the day, but for me, they just wanted it more. And you can see that when a team wins the first ball, the second ball. For me, I just think we went there thinking we've won already. It's just by how many. I think that we went in, the players, that is, go in with the wrong mentality. Fulham were excellent. Let's take absolutely nothing away from Fulham. I'm not going to be one of those fans who goes, we're awful. Fulham weren't even that good. They're awful. Fulham were good, and they're ever improving under Marco Silva. They're in a purple patch of form. You only need to look at their performances or results, and when they're not getting the results, they're playing well. They have so much attacking talent, and they really use that to advantage against us. And obviously, fullbacks. Fulham have found a really good team at the moment that will progress up the table and probably finish inside the top 10. But first 10 minutes wasn't great for me. Fulham had lots of chances, but when we've lost games this season, Luke, it's almost when we've had too much control and we've not been able to get the second goal. But this was a case where we never really got control of the game. Everything was quick. Because obviously I was in the press box. I was 4 rows away from the action. 4 or 5. And it's just like normal things you don't usually see, like Porro's trying to find the ball over the top. Kulusevski's trying to do a crossfield pass. And I'm like, you do that. Hang on, you don't do that against Wolves when you need to break them down. But we're doing it against Fulham when they're coming out and playing. We invited the press, and we weren't good. You have those days. We weren't good at all. Obviously, our record at Craven Cottage is usually so good. But to answer your question, the first 10 minutes, it wasn't good, and you could see from that moment on that Fulham would be a threat. I thought we'd overcome it personally, but Fulham had the start they wanted, and if we're basing it off the first 10-15 minutes, they could have been sadly been 1 or 2-0 up. But Vicario, if it wasn't for Vicario, who kept us in the game again, he's had faults at times, in terms of the crossing, and we had the incident, where the teams went through that he exploited with Ake in terms of being pushed in his own goal. But generally, the match points he's helped us get is substantial. But but Johnny says that 3-0 is a harsh result. I don't think it is. I think it's a fair reflection of the game. We had chances that we should have took, absolutely. So did Fulham. For me, still, that they should have won that game quite comfortably. So back to the drawing board. First 10 minutes, not good enough.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I agree. Let's go through some of the comments, because actually it's funny you brought Johnny up, because I was thinking about him today because of his countryman, Dragashin. And, people were a little bit harsh on him, I feel, for a debut.
Yeah.
And I want to kind of mention this because he said, non-biased at all. He said, not Dragashin was at fault for the first goal. That broke the game. Dragashin kept the line perfectly. Romero was at fault like usual. So nothing that, his countryman did was bad at all in that game. But Winnie, I was going to leave this a little bit later, but what did you make of him for the first goal? Because on 42 minutes, I felt like Spurs had got back into the game a little bit. They'd had a couple of good chances, and then all of a sudden, the ball kind of got played in behind, and what a finish from Muniz, who I reluctantly didn't put in my fantasy football team this week, because it was just a great ball behind, and he scored.
Yeah, look, I'm going to be brutally honest. I don't see how anyone could pick apart Dragashin's performance. What did he do wrong? What can anyone tell me what he did wrong? Because I can't. I certainly can't say there and go, look, he's fucked up there. He's made an error there. The problem is everyone's comparing him to Mickey van der Ven, who is an absolute freak of nature. Yeah, that first goal, okay, Dragashin held the line perfectly. Romero was the one that was playing him onside, so that's not Dragashin's error. Yes, okay, you could argue he may have been a bit tighter, but then if he'd have been a bit tighter, he could have then been the one that was playing Muniz onside. So then we would have picked that apart. So he held the line perfectly. It was Romero that had drifted and kept him onside. And then we look at that and go, oh, well, if that was Mickey van der Ven, he'd have got in and blocked that shot. Okay, but that's Mickey van der Ven. That's not Dragashin. Do you know what I mean? Mickey van der Ven is a completely different animal, and we're very, very, very fortunate to have him. But what we shouldn't do is then compare his attributes to other defenders' attributes, because Mickey van der Ven's attributes are not normal. Like, it's not normal for a centre-back to be that quick. It's just not natural. They're normally good in the air. They're normally strong. But we just happen to have Van der Ven who does all of that and is absolutely fucking shit off a shovel. We're just very, very fortunate. But I personally thought he did okay. I wouldn't say he was outstanding. Of course not. Like, you can't say that when they've just when he's been part of a 3-0 conceding defence. But I certainly don't think he was at fault for anything really. But again, obviously that's up for debate, and I'm sure people can pick the bones of that and tell me I'm wrong.
No, I agree to you in that, especially, if we talk solely on the first goal, because we'll get to the third goal, which, people may have more things to say about. But if we talk solely on the first goal, you're right. Romero is the player who plays Muniz on, and Dragusin is actually in line with the rest of the defending line. So it's Romero's foot, and it's not far, that plays him on side, but it's Romero's foot that plays on Muniz on side. And you can't take it away from him, because that is a great finish from a player, to be quite honest with you, I had never heard of until he started scoring for Fulham. So I've no idea where he even played before he joined Fulham. But I just want to bring up this comment because Martin's back, and he said, as a Celtic fan, also, I knew Ange Ball would struggle. We got torn to shreds in Europe. Do you think, Harry, that Ange Ball does struggle? Or do you just think that it's part and parcel with what you get? Like, when you play so open and expansively, you are going to concede goals. And we talk, I'm getting a bit sick of talking about it, to be honest, because we said it at the start of the season, we said it mid-season, and now we're still saying it now, that we will concede goals and we will score goals.
Yeah, listen, firstly, Martin's obviously a Celtic fan, so he, will know more than I do in terms of Ange Ball, how it's progressed and how they cope with different opponents. So I'm not going to lecture or try and win Martin over or anything like that. But for me, yeah, we do accept that, as you say. I think, for part of me's torn, Luke, because, we can all accept we want to keep the ball out of our own net. No team wants to go to Craven Cottage and concede 3 goals. But at the same time, Ange is the manager, and the way that he wants to play is open and expansive. It's exciting. Yeah, there's often gaps defensively, and that's okay if you're good going forward. But I look at this Spurs team at this moment in time, personnel anyway, I think we're stronger at the back. So do you change the way you play? Does Ange change his philosophy? He's won at Celtic that way. So for me, it is really tough. Do I think that some teams have, don't want to say figured Ange Ball out, but figured the way we play and set up in the game? Absolutely. I think Wolves have done that, and that's why they've done the double over us. I think sadly West Ham have done that. They played us twice, including pre-season, and beaten us. So we'll obviously wait to see the outcome at the London Stadium late this month, I believe, or the early April, actually, maybe. So that'd be interesting. So yeah, you do have to make basic adaptations. And little things like you play Luton, right? And we know they're probably going to sit in and counter. So that game is for Basuma over Bentancur, because you don't need that control. Whereas Fulham, we now know that they've come at you, and it's a game for Bentancur. So it's things like that where you go, it's not necessarily, and all managers are guilty of this, where they go, look, we've done really well. We won 4-0 on our last game. Let's keep the team the same. They don't think about the opposition, their strengths, their weaknesses. So, and just the right manager for Tottenham. There's absolutely, I have no doubt in saying I'm 100% confident. I think we'll win a trophy next season. I've very openly said that and put my, stuck my neck out there, if you like. I think we will win a trophy next season. I think we're on the right path. We've got a very young team. Maybe need a little bit of experience in the summer. Obviously, we'll let the club do the talking on that. I think we have another good window. But for me, Ange Ball, it works. But obviously, you have to make adaptations in games. And Chelsea have been guilty of that this season. United, there's been so many teams that have been guilty of not making adaptations. So it's not a Tottenham and Ange Postecoglou issue. But he's the right manager. Get behind him. We're going to concede goals. You just need to make sure we score them. And that was ultimately the problem yesterday. Defence was okay. Midfield was poor. Didn't offer that protection to the defence and didn't give anything going forward to the attackers. Those 3 midfielders could have easily came off for half-time. It's a shame because I think we have one of the best midfielders as well. I've openly said that as well. So, on paper, we should beat Fulham, but ultimately little things like this, like winning the midfield battle, Paulinho wins it, we're in trouble. So get behind Ange.
Yeah, I think... my take on this is that, look, Celtic have a much poorer squad than Spurs do. right?
Yeah,
That's just
absolutely.
very simple. So Celtic in Europe are going to struggle compared to a Real
Massively.
Madrid, compared to a whoever it is, right?
That's like taking
Spurs-
Fulham in the Champions League and playing Real Madrid. It's just not going to happen, is it?
Have a much worse squad than Real Madrid, for example, right? So it's all about being relative in terms of what you've got. So yeah, Celtic were torn to shreds in Europe, but that's not necessarily anything to do with Ange Postecoglou, and more to do with what they had available at the time. And I think the same says for Spurs now. It's you don't pull Pep Guardiola's tactics apart, and the reason for that is, and they're not too dissimilar to what Ange plays, and the reason for that is because they have a much better squad who are honed in and have had a lot of training in how to exactly play that formation, right? So it's just madness that you can sit there and pull apart someone who's been in the job at Spurs now for 8-9 months
and completely transformed us. Yeah,
exactly. And has a completely different squad in my eyes, in terms of a back four and so on. And then you can start to pull it apart. Like, I just think everyone needs to just have a day off and just calm down and go outside and smell the roses. Because
but can I just say as well, Luke, the questions of him, his career, and him as a person and his character, that goes too far. Did he get it wrong on Saturday? Yes. But should the players have also stepped up and performed? Absolutely. But can I just say, why is the Fulham defeat on Daniel Levy? We had the options on the bench, right? I don't necessarily want to get into it. When the substitutes came on, Fulham and Spurs fans have both admitted this to me. We looked a lot better. So the options were there. I think that the team and even the squad, although it's not well beaten and up there with the best in the Premier League, what we've built in 2 windows under Ange Postecoglou for me is incredible. Mentality, system. We all wanted the rebuild, and us 3 included, along with a load of other Spurs fans, sat here and went, we can take anything in the first season, just as long as we're playing the way we want to. We recognise Tottenham again, and we see clear signs of progress. We've seen that. We've just gone to Villa Park and absolutely smashed Villa. At the start of the season, went toe-to-toe with City, Arsenal, Liverpool. Drawn 2, beat 1. So you just have to put it in bigger perspective. And the questions of him as personally aren't fair, but also the kind of thing that you can't question him is also wrong. So you can question the manager, his personal career and what he's achieved, who's won trophies. I don't agree with that.
No, yeah. Fair enough. Sorry, when you are sat there quietly and
I'm enjoying it, mate. I'm enjoying it. This is fun.
I'm not even going to start on some of the comments that are going on because Hazard just wound up on Twitter last night, and I think he's still on his same shit today. To be honest, I'm not even going to entertain that nonsense that's going on in there. But Courtney said we're going to win games, lose games, and draw games. It's football, but we are playing like we did yesterday. It's different. That's just not right. There was no effort, energy. Nothing. Can
I just quickly interject here? Can anyone honestly sit there and tell me that we are not playing much, markedly better football than we have done under Mourinho and under Conte and under bloody Nuno and under Stellini? Are you telling me that you can sit here under Mason? Are you honestly telling me you can sit there and go I can physically see it? Like in previous years, under previous managers, we couldn't even make a triangle. Yeah, we would get the ball to the centre back, and he would give it straight back to the keeper. It would all just be straight lines. Whereas now, yes, okay, sometimes we lose the ball, but if you want, the first 5 minutes of the game, I would say on Saturday, we just kept the ball and we was keeping it in little triangles. Yes, obviously we didn't need, nothing came from it, and Fulham weren't necessarily pressing us. But we were keeping the ball in triangles, and it's something that obviously Ange is practicing in training every single day, and it's the way that we beat the press.
Yeah,
and
we were doing it, and we have not played football like that for so long. Like, trust me, from my point of view, there's been times under Conte and Mourinho where I've gone, oh, Spurs are playing Saturday. Oh well, I'm not going to watch it. What's the point? And I haven't bothered because what's the point? It was the same outcome. Whereas now, I mean, even though I had a bad feeling about the Fulham game, for whatever reason, I don't know, I still watched the full 90 minutes of it or 97 minutes of it. And I still enjoy parts of it, even though we were losing. And it's because I can see a direction. I can see what the players are trying to do. I can resonate with, the players. There was one point where Porro kicked the ball off the winger and it went out for a goal kick, and he just looked at Vicario and was like, get in there. Do you know what I mean? Like, these little things mean a lot, and you can see that it means a lot to them. And I think that's the thing is it just annoys me when people go, oh, well, I think we've said about Haz. He said yesterday, like under Conte, it was better, and I was like, how can you literally sit there and say that? Like, and that's not just like pointing Haz out.
I think we've done, incredible to get top 4 in his first season, but none of us really enjoyed. I never went to a game and enjoyed watching Tottenham. I'm glad that we've done what we've done. I thought it was, he done really well against the odds, as it says there. But ultimately, people say the same about Mourinho when we got sick that Europa League, but he had so much longer. And for me, the amount of games we lost was substantial. We're on the right path. And on Saturday at Craven Cottage was the closest I've ever been to the action and the intensity from both teams. But I want to focus on Tottenham here. Is insane. It's one-touch football. The movement is non-stop, and I look at that and go, how don't they get more injuries? How do they keep that? When we criticise that the lack of energy, the lack of effort, from how close was the action, you just can't do that. If he consistently played at that pace, it was crazy. I struggled to keep up. It was honestly mind blowing. And then you go and I watch it back on Match of the Day to think, is it me? You go and see it, and you don't see that. But when because obviously 4 rows back, you're pretty much level on the kind of. You can see it just seems so much quicker. So I see a lot of people criticise Spurs fans yesterday and today about the lack of energy, lack of effort. None of that's true. The effort was there, just not the quality, and the tactics are wrong for the day. That happens.
Also, sorry, I just want to finish off my point.
Sorry, that's what I interrupted you.
No, this is good. I'll literally bring one game to all of your attention, and I will tell you that it would have been a completely different outcome under this different manager. AC Milan, the second leg of the AC Milan game at home. I was there watching.
We have to score.
Yeah. So was I. How horrible was that? That was awful.
If that was under Ange Postecoglou, we win that game 100%. AC Milan were there for the taking, and we just was not interested in the slightest in attacking them.
Do you know what? Sorry, Winnie. It wasn't even about I don't even know if we'd win the game, right? And that's not even important in my opinion. It's the effort that I would have wanted to see from those players and that manager. Yeah. We went into that game needing to score, and we absolutely limped out of it with no effort, no passion, no cohesion, nothing. Yeah. At least if we try. I'm going to put us on limit. I'm not asked if we win. I'm not asked if we lose. I'm asked if we play, and we play properly, and we show effort and passion, and each and every single person tries. I was annoyed yesterday, I'm not going to lie, because I felt like the players, were going towards how it was like under Antonio Conte, to be honest. Not really that arsed, and so on. But, if we go into that game with AC Milan and Ange Postecoglou, whether we win or whether we not, I tell you what, we give it a fucking go.
Yeah, no, it's just frustrating. I think what annoys me is if there was consistency, if it was like even when we win, it was like, nah, fuck this, Ange out. Okay, cool. The next game, if we win again, nah, fuck this, Ange out. But it's just whenever we lose, Ange out. Whenever we win, oh, this is brilliant. Yeah. Whenever we lose, Ange out. Just get a fucking grip, man. Like, you're going to get the rough and the smooth. Unless you are Man City with tons of money to just chuck out at whoever you want, you're going to struggle. There's going to be times when you struggle. And that's just what happened. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. I want to move on and talk about the third goal. I'm not even going to bother talking about the second goal, to be quite honest. We'll go straight to the third goal. Because
the second goal was a fluke anyway, so...
Yeah, fair enough. What's annoying about yesterday was that usually at half-time, it kind of gets sorted out, and whatever it is, we come out like goal guns blazing, and we play well. Whether we were figured out, whatever it was, we didn't come out with that intensity. I don't know what was up with us yesterday, and you can blame manager or whoever. But the third goal, man, like this is another thing where I saw people pointing fingers at Dragusin because Bassi, the corner comes. The corner comes over. Bassi managed to get a shot away. It deflects onto the post, which then comes off Vicario's gloves, and then Dragusin's about a millimetre away from clearing the ball. Mooney steps on the ball and it ends up in the back of the net. Like it was just an absolute shit show from start to finish. But like again, Harry, you can't blame the centre back for things like that, can you? Not being able to clear the ball.
You can't, and like when he said, it's very important. The comparison to Van der Ven isn't fair. Van der Ven's legs are huge, his pace is huge. So, okay, maybe get something in that. But it could have diverted it past the keeper. Then people would say, Vicario's going to save it. So this kind of twisted analogy and way of looking at it. No, you can't blame Dragusin. And Marlon talks a load of rubbish, Spurs Kings TV there. But one thing he has said that is correct. Is about the defence. It actually looked okay, and that sounds stupid to say when you can see 3 goals, but it was the midfield for me, and it is that simple. A couple of Fulham's goals were really messy. Obviously, first goal was really good, great delivery from Robinson. If I'm being picky, Porro shouldn't allow the ball to come in the box. Muniz was allowed a lot of room, but I put that on Romero in terms of it could have been offside. But people just don't like to hear that. I think he's a world beater, but I don't agree. That's where we differ. But no, Fulham create good chances, but the goals they scored were a little bit scrappy. It's just those frustrating things. Can Vicario do better? Can Dragusin do better if you're being really picky? But overall, you can't really put it on Dragusin's first game. I thought it was solid. I really did. And I love Van der Ven, and I don't think still think we would have lost that game 2-3-0 even with Van der Ven in the team.
Again, we have a comment here saying, I love Ange, but you lot are putting him higher.
But I could say the same to Marlon with Antonio Conte. It was the problem at Tottenham. He was insufferable. His attitude, the way of looking at things, that he was right, others were wrong. There's one way of playing. I'm not going to change. Some will say that Ange is the same. I can't comment on that until we have the second season. But that's why Conte is the problem. I'm not saying he's wrong with some of the things he came out with, but he was. None of us can sit here and go he wasn't part of the problem, because who chose the team? Who chose the tactics? So he had options on the bench. And like there's a comment Marlon said earlier, Luke, about Davis Dyer as centre-backs. Okay, then play attacking football and take the pressure off defenders. We had, according to Spurs fans, the best front three in Europe at the time in Kulusevski, Son and Kane. So why don't we utilise that? Play to their strengths. Play attacking football. We would have actually won more games. So a little bit of common sense, and you won't be getting comments like that. But sorry, Marlon, you may not allow me on now Friday.
Conte and Jose Mourinho are washed out dinosaur managers. Look at Jose Mourinho.
Good career. They're washed. They're finished for 2024. They're gone.
Let's look at Jose Mourinho at Roma. Shoved out of Roma. He gets shoved out of every role that he comes from. There's going to be a film actually on Netflix.
There's a reason for it.
about Jose Mourinho, and I'm interested to see what route they go down with that. Let's not even talk about checkbook manager Antonio Conte, who, if he doesn't get all the money in the world, he throws his toys out the pram. They're both absolute morons, and anyone who wants to sit there and back them is beyond me. Go back to 2005 to 2015, and then we can talk about whether they're decent.
Or put them in the Italian league. They do really well in Italy. It's slow defensively, but in the Premier League, it's too fast-paced for what they want, and that's why they both failed. Tottenham Hotspur. Whatever you put that on, they both failed, and they get paid money for a reason. They choose the team, they pick the team, they choose the tactics, and that's why we didn't do it. And we'll save this discussion for Friday, because I'm sure it'll be heated.
Winnie, I want to talk about Johnson and Werner, because in the second half, Ange did change things, and this is one thing. I'm going to get absolute pelters here now, but it's one thing I do like about him. It's when, okay, they were a bit late, some of the changes, but he did decide to make quite aggressive attacking changes and leave attacking players on, bring Timo Werner on as well, take a midfielder off, and really try and push. And both of those players missed open goals. Okay, Brennan Johnson's attempt was probably offside, but I'd rather he finishes it, and then we, and then we see what VAR says at that point. And then Timo Werner, I have no idea how he misses an open goal from 4 yards out, but really just summed the day up, didn't it? Both of those players missing sitters, because at 3-2 that would have made it. Yeah. You never know what might happen.
I was incredibly disappointed with Johnson and Decky as well. Our wingers in general, to be honest. They just looked, again, I think we've already spoke up. We don't need to talk about it again with Johnson. He just looked like he was devoid of confidence again. That can happen, He could have had an absolute stinker in training a couple of days before, and that plays on his mind. And then when he comes into the game, he's not as positive as he has been. I don't know, but either way, I was disappointed with his performance. But this is the beauty of it. We now, in our next game, if we want to, we can drop both Johnson and Kulusevski and bring in Werner and Richarlison. So we can try that. The beauty of it now is we have the options to be able to rotate it if we need to. Yeah, I don't really know how they missed those chances, to be perfectly honest. But as you said, it just summed up our evening, and that was just a disappointment. And like I said, I'll reiterate it 4, 5, 6, 7 times. It's just football. It's what happens. But if you just constantly slating Ange Postecoglou, then don't expect us to win any games. Simple. Don't moan when we lose if you think we've got one of the shittest managers in the league. Simple as that.
And stick around, actually, because in about 5 minutes, we are going to talk about fan opinions. So stick around if you want to hear a little bit of that from all of us. But I want to talk about Richarlison quickly, Harry, because it was good to see him back. Nice to see he's got a new neck tattoo. So being injured also means you can go and get a nice tattoo done, doesn't it? But do
you think that's why? Sorry, do you think that's why he's been injured? To let his tattoo heal?
Just letting his neck heal.
Letting his tattoo heal?
Maybe, yeah, who knows? Anyway, I don't really care as long as he comes back in the same form that he left in before, because it was nice to see him come on, and he had a couple of good chances actually, and it's nice to have that feeling, of him coming on and looking forward to it rather than coming on and dreading it, which is what I was doing for most of his Spurs career.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that's down to the manager, and the way he's handled the Richarlison situation and what he's gone through is absolutely perfect. And it shows how classy for me Ange is. Richarlison, he didn't really have long in terms of time-wise to have an impact, but he was very keen. And he came close. Will he be annoyed that he didn't take that chance? Of course he will be. But as a player coming back from injury to get in that position, he showed real energy. And like I said, we love Ange Postecoglou, but Richarlison excludes from this because he's just come back from injury. But the changes should have come earlier, and maybe some of these chances going, it could have been completely different. Although Fulham create a lot of chances, and they should have taken their chances. I still think the scoreline is a reflection of the game. But for me, I just want to see what the outcome would look like if the changes were made at half time. Because for me, it just wasn't Maddison's type of game, because he's not actually good under pressure. Sadly, he's good at giving it large, but he's not actually, in terms of football ability, sadly, good under pressure. And Basuma ease, but Fulham doesn't really suit him. Bentancur does. And that's why when Bentancur, Werner and Højbjerg came on, we dictated from then on end and were unlucky not to score. There's no reason it doesn't happen. But Richarlison back in, obviously we will discuss Luton being my starting 11 against Luton. I miss that physical presence in the box. That's nothing against Son. But I just like that target to aim to. I think however you play, Luke, I think we can all agree that set piece is still important, and that physical presence as a striker. And City done really well, and they won the league without that number 9, if you like. But still, there's times where they could have done with one, and I just think you just get a lot, even if it's just off the bench. So having Richarlison back is a big boost, and we've missed that. When we got in a crossing position and just don't know what to do, and we don't shoot either, so it's quite difficult. But nice to see Rishi back on the pitch.
Yeah, definitely. Anyway, now, unfortunately, is the time to go through the score predictions from last week. And I'll be quick. I didn't even make a graphic this week because I was that annoyed. So I had 2-1 Spurs. Winnie had 3-1 Spurs. Dave had 3-1 Spurs. Callum had 2-1 Spurs. And Harry had a 1-1 draw, which means that all of us got absolutely 0 points. So the league table does not change whatsoever. And it still ends with me on 28 points, Winnie on 22 points, Harry on 18, Dave on 17,
Come on.
Callum on 15, because no one got any points. Right. So just to let everybody know, obviously, we will be back next week to talk about the Luton game. But there is a little change, Winnie, to this week's FIFA stream, as unfortunately we cannot do Tuesday. So do you want to let everyone know which day will be on this week?
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't do Tuesday this week. We do like to try and keep it as regular as possible for you guys, so we know, just as regular with our podcast. Every Sunday 7 p.m. We want it to be every Tuesday at 8 p.m. But unfortunately, life gets in the way. So we will be doing it tomorrow at 8 p.m. and we will be changing our place of broadcast to Twitch. Now, obviously, Luke has done the background work and worked out that you don't need to have a Twitch account. Is that correct, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't need a Twitch account to be able to watch us. You can just go on there and watch when we go live. So don't worry about any of that. But if you do want a Twitch account, or you have one already, head straight over to there and give us a follow. But that will be tomorrow live on Twitch at 8 p.m.
Definitely. And an even bigger announcement is we have a new player. So Kieran, a good friend of mine, will be joining us to play as well. So there will be, how many now? 5 of us playing pro clubs tomorrow night, 8 p.m. And it's twitch.tv/Park Lane Podcast. So yeah, as you said, you don't need one. So, Jay, if you don't want to create a Twitch account, don't worry about it. Make sure you still watch us. But more importantly, if you do have one, just go and create one if you can. And go and follow. Right. I saw Thomas. I saw you already followed us on Twitch, Thomas. So thanks for that. I do keep an eye on who follows and who doesn't. Anyway, I want to talk to you guys really quickly about our fan base. And I wrote this down saying, are our fan base the problem? Now, right, before I get kind of bombarded here, I want to get a point out. And I want to look specifically at 2 fan bases, Spurs and Liverpool. And there's a reason why I want to talk about Liverpool fan base. Today, Liverpool had 9,000 fans travel to Old Trafford for the game. Okay, the result aside, they got beat. But look at Anfield. Look at the times when they go away. Their ground is an absolute fortress. Why is it like that? Because the club, the supporters, the manager, everybody is behind everybody at that football club. And the noise is absolutely incredible wherever they go. And that's what drives the players on the pitch. Our fan base is probably one of the most toxic fan bases that I've ever seen. And I'm not even kidding here. Like, the amount of nonsense that I see, whether it's done for clicks and likes and all the rest of it, or whether it's done, out of sincerity, who knows? But the part of the problem is, why do we think our team has been failing for so many years? And we have this entitled attitude from our fan base. You turn our stadium into a fortress. You turn, every single time someone comes to our stadium into a nightmare. The players will react to that. Doesn't matter the ability of the player. They will react to that. You've seen Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool side with some far worse players than we have at the moment outperform how we are. So anyway, that's my point on it. Winnie, I want to hear your thoughts.
Oh, mate, how long have you got? No, look, I totally get it. We flip flop between if we don't get the manager that we want, or the one that's top of the list. I remember, how many times have we been linked with Nagelsmann? And it turns out we've absolutely dodged a massive fucking bullet with that one, because don't get me wrong, I was also an advocate for Nagelsmann. When we were linked with him, I looked at him and was like, wow, this is the real profile of manager that would suit Tottenham Hotspur. But look, it turns like we dodged a bullet with that. So maybe other people at the club know better than we do. And I think, do you know what? I think that's the problem. Look, I'm not going to sit here and absolutely say Levy's the best chairman in the whole of the world, in the whole Premier League. Like, he has his flaws, as does every chairman. But we're talking about Daniel Levy now, who, although many clubs financially are in the shit and are run financially poor, we are one of the world's juggernauts financially, and we will be sustainable for a very, very long time. And that is the most important thing for me. If I support Tottenham Hotspur. If there isn't a Tottenham Hotspur to support, then what's the point? So that, for a start, is. But anyway, look, the main thing with me is the thing that I really, really hate about our fan base is, look, I'll be honest again. Okay, I'm not really arsed. Like, I love Tottenham Hotspur and I want us to win every single game. Yeah, but if we don't win, who gives a shit? Like, I'm not arsed. I just want to see. This is what you alluded to earlier. I just want to see the fact that the players give a toss and actually go out there to try and win a game. And that's what we do. We go out to try and win every single game that we play. And if that's not what you want, what do you want? Do you know what I mean? Like, people will compare it to the Conte era and say, oh, okay, well, we'll go to Man United. We'll go to Man United, Man City away, and we'll go, oh, okay, well, maybe we shouldn't attack this. We should just sit back, soak up loads of pressure, and then eventually Man City will score. Okay, cool. Well, if the Ange ball way is, okay, yeah, we may concede, but by that time we might be 2-0 up because we've gone forward, tried to press, tried to attack, and we've actually managed to break them down and score 2 goals. And this is the risk that you take. It's risk football, but our fan base is just too, in my opinion, just too contradictory in the sense that like I said and alluded to earlier, we're saying, oh, okay, we've got what, Andy isn't up to scratch. He isn't up to being the manager of Tottenham Hotspur. But then going, we should be beating Fulham. Why should we? If you're telling me that our manager's shit, why should we then go to Craven Cottage and get 3 points? It makes no sense, and that's the problem with our fan base. And like I said, we'll go and beat Luton next week. I'm quite confident we will do that. We'll beat Luton at home, and all the fan base will be like, "Oh, Angie got this spot on. He did this. He did that." No, you don't get the right to be able to say that.
It's flip flopping, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
You don't get the right to be able to say that, because last week you were saying let's sack him. You either back him or you know what I mean. I just want consistency. You either back him every single game and every single result, or you don't. And you say, even when we win, you go, look, I don't think Ange's the guy for me. I don't think he's the fit for Tottenham Hotspur. I would still like him out. Just don't flip-flop between the two.
See, this is an interesting comment here. It says the reason Spurs is a toxic place is down to the club. Everyone is on different pages. Do you know what page you should be on? The page that sees us support our club as best that you can, regardless of your thoughts on chairman, etc.
Yeah.
As soon as that whistle goes, you should be behind the players 1,000%.
And
our stadium isn't like that. And I don't know what that is. I don't know who called. I'm not saying that, not everybody sings the loudest. We get mad at people coming over from South Korea to go and watch the fucking football, for God's sake. How do you expect us to get taken seriously if you can't even enjoy having people going to the stadium for a one-off game because they want to go and see the players that they love? I just find it absolutely mental. David's mentioned a few times now about the old fans being locked out due to the concessions being taken away. We did focus on that last week, and we did speak
a lot
about how wrong that is. So feel free to go back and listen through, think about that. But Harry, what's your thoughts on it? And by the way, I'm not slagging everybody off at this football club. That's not what I'm trying to do here. What I'm trying to do is to say you can be right and you can be wrong. The most important thing is that you support this football club. And no offense to Haz in the chat, I haven't seen you support this football club for about 2 years. And that's, my honest opinion.
Yeah, spot on. I couldn't agree more. So firstly, well said, Winnie. Absolutely spot on. As per usual, but you're absolutely spot on there. And Luke as well, absolutely spot on. Listen, we Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, we wanted to get together and support the club. I got absolutely blasted last summer for saying something I'm going to say now, and I'm going to say it again, right? There's an entitlement among this fan base. There's entitlement among this fan base that expects us to be winning trophies. And I find that absolutely baffling. The last trophy we won is 2008. So why should we expect it to win a trophy? Surely we used to not win a trophy. Okay, it's wrong. We've come close in recent years. A lot of football is down to luck. But people are seriously having debates and conversations with me that Ange should be winning a trophy in his first season. But yet they were the ones who said, yeah, we want this rebuild, because they saw the long-term project. So consistency is very key. I'm not going to name individuals because I'll need a long show, but a lot of them out there with very large platforms as well, which is very worrying, that, as you say, don't support the team. I generally don't think they support the team. I honestly don't. I think that they're more interested in getting the owners out of the club. And for me, that isn't the best interest for Tottenham right now. And where they've taken the club the last few years, obviously, it's a big thing to say. But I think we're a stable club. You look at FFP, for example. Clubs are struggling to spend. It feels like Tottenham Hotspur's transfer window only because the club have played it right with the new stadium. And there's still this toxic feel around the club, and there shouldn't be. Fans can come together. You talk about Liverpool. You've got so many clubs that come together. I think we're well run. We're financially stable. We're producing on the football pitch. I don't get why fans don't come together. Obviously, we discussed before the senior concessions is wrong. That is exploiting loyalty, but you're entitled to mistakes. It's never too late to put it right. So for me, I'm not going to say the fan base is the core of the problem. But that entitlement isn't a problem, because if I'm honest with you, I think Levy does care and listens to the fans. I think when Pochettino, because obviously you remember the club have admins and things like this, it's just one of my theories. There's a lot of people that wanted Maurizio Pochettino gone at the time, after that short period of time, after what he'd done for the club 4 or 5 years. And I think Levy, he sees that or hears about it, gets told about it, and takes action that he thinks is the best for the club. So if Spurs fans aren't careful, the ones who want Levy gone, and start moaning and going on at Ange like they have recently, he's not right for our club, we're not going to win trophies, then you need to be careful, because Levy will see that and think that you want Ange Postecoglou gone. Says if we win a trophy next season at Uchelli, absolutely, and you can choose it for me. And we can do that face to face if you like. I think we will win a trophy next season. All jokes aside, I think we're on the right path. People need to come together and recognise that. You can have thoughts on the owners, but support Tottenham Hotspur Football Club first. And like someone like me, right, who I just care about watching and caring for my club, producing great content that people like. And obviously you've got my autism work that works with football clubs. They're my main priorities in keeping people happy. Yeah, I get called all these things. Media Puppet is the latest one today. You all know who that's by. We've got a load of them like that, right? And I just don't get it. Again, that's blasting someone for having an opinion. There's Spurs fans out there, again, that care more about that Johnson and Werner don't do well. They love it when they don't do well. And there's 3 or 4 Spurs fans that I speak to or know of on Twitter who, when we win, there's absolutely nothing for the whole week. But when we lose, there's a lot in that evening. So we need to come together as a fan base, support Tottenham Hotspur, because we're on the right path. Stop complaining, stop whinging, get to life, and we're doing well.
Yeah, look.
But what's Daniel Levy done wrong in the most recent years? For me, Ange Postecoglou's been backed. We bought players in, and for me, we talk about a rebuild that's happened in 2 windows. That's very rarely done. Liverpool under Klopp, it took them a long while to implement that team. He got to Champions League final when he lost to Real Madrid and said, "Look, I need a rebuild," and the club gave him that. They've already given Ange Postecoglou that for me in 2 windows. That's incredible for me. I think a really strong starting 11. Obviously, he's got even a bigger tune out of. I think the squad will come over time, but for me, I look at there's not one way I look at Tottenham Hotspur, and you exclude senior concessions, all those problems. But on the pitch, off the pitch, I have no concerns. I think we'll be sitting here in 4 or 5 years' time with a few trophies and Ange Postecoglou is the manager, and I 100% believe that. So I don't get it. I think people just thrive off that reaction and that interaction and that
I honestly think he's gone in 3 years, because if you look at his track record in every club that he's been at, I think that's probably the longevity that he would stay.
But Luke, we know if we go for a losing period next season, that the plug will be pulled because of the pressure that the fans put on. So they create their own problems for me. And for me, we splashed the cash. We've got a new stadium. What more do you want at this moment in time? And for me, it's entitlement at its finest.
I mean, I will sit here and I've seen a lot of comments like that as we've all been talking, right? A lot of different things, calling us all different kinds of puppets and all the rest of it, right? I'm not going to sit here and say that the amount of trophies that we've won in this time is not unacceptable. Right, of course it is, right? But let's not forget, in those last 20 years, which teams have been dominating the Premier League, dominating the Cups. Look at Liverpool, City, Arsenal, United, probably over the last 20 years, I would say. Now, it is unacceptable that we haven't won trophies, and it is unacceptable from a chairman to not have done such a thing. But why are we entitled to win a trophy? How many other teams out of the 20 teams that have been in the league, but we could probably say 30 to 35 teams if you to talk about who has been promoted and relegated in all of those seasons. How many of those have won trophies in those years? Yes, you can say before that has said, we won a trophy every 5 years on average before that. But then come back to me with this exact same stat where you tell me how many other teams won trophies during that period as well, because I guarantee you there'll be a lot more teams that won it during that period. You can look at the likes of Nottingham Forest in the European Cup. You can
look in recent years. With Liverpool, you exclude that 1 year under Klopp, they won the title. But there's not Liverpool fans sitting there going, "This is unacceptable." They understand and they look at where they are and look at Klopp and go, "It's progressive." I also think that there's another spin to the argument that a lot of Spurs fans sit here and go, "We have to play that way," or "We have to sign that player. We have to do this." No, for me, that's no entitlement. Okay, Tottenham are a big club and have to finish inside the top 6, but why should we fight for the title every year? I just don't get that. It's wrong. It's twisted, and that is why we're ultimately in a bad place. And there's a lot of players like has to say Johnson's a club signing. He's getting goals and assists and having an impact. I don't get what more you want. I think there's, I've called people out before. They just like to see players fail, and I don't get why. Is it they're having a sad life? I honestly don't know what it's down to. But you can have opinions. There's nothing wrong with it. But people try to enforce opinions on others, and I can't have it. I said that in the week that for me, Werner's a no-brainer of a signing. Apparently, that's been really negative in accepting that I want to get relegated to be in the Championship, because I think that a player for 15 million in 2024 in this current market is a good option off the bench and someone who can change a game, and I absolutely stand by that. So, get a life.
Yeah. David said, as a fan I've supported since 1961, my frustration is that I've seen Spurs win trophies with far inferior players and less able coaches. Yeah, I don't disagree to that statement, but I also think that
But I think the trophies are coming. It's coming. Be patient.
I also think that football has changed in the last 40 years as a game, and including how money is spent. You can look at. I think if the likes of City, Newcastle, and whoever, right, these oil money hadn't come into the Premier League, it could be a completely different league, and you might see other teams winning things. But look, this wasn't like a thing to go and piss off every single person who watches this show either. I want to create like talking points, and I want to discuss this because I genuinely want this club to be better, and I genuinely want it to be better. But comments like I'm seeing today, which are always negatively based on whether it's us or whether it's the board or whether it's the signings or whatever it is, right? Why can we not flip that on the other side and say, we lost yesterday? It is a fucking nightmare that we lost yesterday. But we go again. And next week, let's come even better. Let's come with even more support. Let's come with even more noise and try and push this club forward. Because the one thing that we should all want is for Spurs to do well. And that's my only concern, is that I feel like there are some people out there who benefit when Spurs lose.
Absolutely, I could just say as well, and I completely agree with that. But for me, in terms of we talk about the owners wanting Levy and ENIC out the club, I've seen absolutely nothing from the start of the season up until the end of the year. Sorry, very true. I just didn't see that when we were playing well, we went on that unbeaten run. There was nothing, and then after Villa, that whole week there was nothing, and people go, and there was absolute silence. There's no credit. But within 4 minutes after the game ended at Craven Cottage, on my timeline, I had at least 30 posts about Levy, how he's the problem. But the options were there because we were better when they came. How's it on Levy? You go, bought the players. But these players are the reason we were doing well. We're even in the top four battle, which none of us expected to be at the start of the season. I sat here, didn't I, at the start of the season? I can openly admit it. And I'm not ashamed of it at all, thinking we finished 9th. I think having lost Harry Kane, that was realistic. And just coped with that. We've brought in, for me, top players. We've got the recruitment spot on. Again, criticism from the fans to go with Vicario over David Raya. Absolutely the right choice. Van der Ven over Dragusin. Absolutely the right choice. Top 4 isn't success, but you can't expect anything more in Ange's first season. If you're saying this 3 or 4 years into an Ange project, I'm absolutely with you. But in Ange Postecoglou's first season, you can't sit here and go, we're going to be in a title race. Otherwise, you need help. You cannot say that. That's absolutely criminal to go through a rebuild and instantly win and get more than top 4. But do you not want the club to do well and play Champions League, play the best teams in the world and get that money in and buy the best players in the world? And for me, we've splashed the cash recently, partly because of the new stadium, but also securing Champions League football consistently. So,
can I just say something before we move on quickly?
Yeah.
And it is very, very brief. If you talk, but if you talk to pundits, and when pundits talk about Tottenham Hotspur, what do they talk about? They talk about playing football the Tottenham way. Yeah. Now, the Tottenham way is the way that we are playing currently. We haven't seen that for many, many years. The last time we played, in quotes, the Tottenham way was under Pochettino. Yeah. And everyone was loving that era under Pochettino because we hadn't seen it for so long. Now, is it a coincidence that people talk about the Tottenham way? No, it's because we, as a club, Tottenham Hotspur, traditionally have played this attacking, really, really exciting, maybe vulnerable, okay, but it's fast, it's attacking, it's exciting, it makes you want to watch it, yeah? Now, we haven't played that for so long, but under Postecoglou, we are doing that. And if we are now aligning with our club's beliefs, is that not a good thing? I know some people will say, okay, well, maybe Conte and stuff like that will breed success. Well, no. What I will say on that is Conte and Mourinho are fantastic managers, but they are shit coaches. You cannot give them any of these young potential players and make them turn them into these fantastic talents. But what they do is they want a massive checkbook and loads of money and buy ready-made players. I would much prefer to have the manager we've got here now, someone who aligns with the club's ethos and play the Tottenham way, and someone who can also develop players. And I saw someone saying there that Solomon was a club signing. He was a free transfer, for fuck's sake. Like,
it's a no-brainer.
He's someone
it's
who
a
we
no-brainer.
even if you look at it, not just in a footballing sense, just in a general sense, if you get something for free and you can sell it for 20 quid, that's good business. It's the same with Solomon. Even if we got 5 million for him, that's business. But yeah, anyway, that's that.
Yeah, we could go on about this for a long time, but we are going to move on and move past from that. But it's great to see so many people with so many comments coming in and so many people having different opinions, and I absolutely love that. Don't forget, go and hit the follow button, the subscribe button, and everywhere else. I want to talk FPL because we for God's sake, man, some idiot on Twitch is writing about some fucking offer or something. Anyway, that's why you need mods on Twitch. But anyway, let's talk about FPL because it was a bit of a small week in FPL, and for those that didn't make changes, they probably had one or two people, playing this week, looking at the likes of Winnie, or there's a few Callum Stubbs who got 5 and 6 points each. But let's go through, because I did actually take my free hit this week and brought in a few players, and so did Dave. So Dave has gone back to the top of the league. He's on 1,676 points. Sham Mohit is in second, 1,649 points. But then we come all the way down to myself in 8th. I scored 24 points this week, which doesn't sound a lot, but Winnie, who's my closest rival, scored 5 points this week. So I'm now on 1,558, and Winnie's on 1,505 points. Then we come down to Harry Scarf in 14th, 1,381 points. And then Callum Stubbs on 1,261 points. So actually, Harry, you've taken a bit of a lead over Callum.
I have, but Luke, considering you played the free hit, I only got 3 more points than me. That's look at your team; it's full of ones.
Yeah, because players didn't play very well. I can't do much about that, can I?
Well, who chose the team?
I know, but the thing was, I didn't bring in Muniz because I didn't want him to play well and then score against Spurs.
But it's fine. But things like putting West Ham's Emerson in when you know he's up against Aston Villa, you don't do that.
Because he only had a choice of a few
for defender, in, do you?
Huh?
I suppose you were limited, but come on.
Yeah,
you're a bad manager, Luke.
I know. Yeah,
he is.
I know.
I've got 21 points, and I've already used all my chips. If you like, I'll take that.
Yeah, no, fair enough. My main downfall was I had Muniz in the team, but I didn't actually pick him because I didn't want him to score, and he did score twice. So that's what you get, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. But anyway, we might as well finish up there. Barney got 40 points this week. Well done, Barney. Jay got 26 points. Well done, Jay. We might as well, move on. And next week we'll be back to talk about the Luton game. We'll be previewing all of that and talking about the international break. But come and follow us tomorrow on Twitch, twitch.tv/Park Lane Podcast. Come and give us a follow and watch us play Pro Clubs. There'll be 5 of us playing Pro Clubs tomorrow. So come over, join in, let us know what you think about it and everything else. And Jay in the chat, why don't you just get a Twitch account, mate? Take 2 seconds to just sign up and get one. And then at least you can follow us and you can comment along, because we do want to know what you had for dinner. So make sure you let us know that all tomorrow. But Winnie, thanks for joining us again, mate. How can everyone find you?
Yeah, Winnie9291 on Twitter. Probably don't message me because I'm just literally fed up with Twitter at the minute because it's just full of bullshit. So if you message me, I probably won't reply. But obviously follow the pod and make sure you check us out on Twitch tomorrow at 8 p.m.
Yeah, perfect. And Harry, who have you got on this week on your show?
Yeah, firstly, thank you very much for having me on once again. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Park Lane Podcast. Go check Luke and Winnie out. Also, follow the Twitch account as well. Very exciting. There you go. So make sure to do that. But yeah, you can follow me there, Harry Scarf 22. Most importantly, though, my channel, Scarfy Spurs, will be interactive with some of you in the comments. So thank you very much for that. You certainly made it more entertaining. Weekly live show tomorrow, 7:45 p.m. Who am I joined by? Oh, come on, I should know this. Justin, who's Levy out. We've got Mark, who's Levy in. So that'd be really interesting. We've got Barney. Fulham fan on as well. So I thought I played that right because I thought Fulham will lose. I'll be able to rub it in. Come on, Harry, you played this right, and not for the first time. It's like when you've done it before with working with Fulham the next day after we get knocked out in the League Cup. So it's not the first time I've done it. I'll learn eventually. I've also got I've got one more on. He's thinking. Oh, you've got Sonny on as well, who does little bits of Talk Sport. So it should be a good show. We'll discuss Fulham. We'll preview a little bit at the end. Luton, discuss the rise in season ticket prices. Like all the fan base, similar to what we've done tonight. So thank you very much for having me on once again, and I'll be back as always next Sunday.
No problem at all, mate. And to everybody in the chat, thank you all for joining us. Thanks to all the regulars that tune in every single week. We do see you, and we do appreciate you all, and all of this content we try and do for you. I also want to give a shout out to everybody on Spotify, Apple Music, and everywhere else where you get your podcast from, because you guys are absolute heroes. Keep listening all the way through. Keep following us on there. Keep leaving us a 5-star review. And until next time, a massive come on, you Spurs!
Come on, you Spurs!
Up the Spurs!